very happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. Patrick's, or Paddy, D-D-Y, not Patty, T-T-Y. No T-T, Paddy or Patrick's. And for the record, this is the Irish flag. And this is the Ivory Coast flag. Use your emojis wisely. What better way to celebrate a very special day than with a very special whiskey? Let's drink some whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian, and welcome to Christy's Bar in the heart of Kilkenny, Ireland, where we don't get any more Irish than this, and on the most Irish of days too. It's of course St. Patrick's Day 2021 to be exact, and yes, still in lockdown for a solid year now. And I can guarantee this time last year, we were certainly not thinking that it would last as long as it has. Normally, we would be celebrating Patrick's Day in a very different, kind of more hazy, kind of more blurry kind of way. And in keeping with the recent times, why not change it up a bit? As this is a special day in special times, it only suits me to have a special whiskey to drink and to talk about. This is the Redbreast 10-year-old special edition, brought about to celebrate 30 years since the brand was resurrected back to life by Irish distillers. This is not actually the bottle. It just hasn't shown up for delivery yet. This is a sample though. So this is not the first time I've spoken about Redbreast whiskey. I've done a full video review on one of their single casks for the Whiskey Exchange, card above. You can check out that video where I give a full and in-depth history into the brand and of course its humble beginnings. Redbreast Irish whiskey is produced in Middleton, County Cork and is a product of Irish distillers, formerly known as W.A Gilbeys, who were wine and spirit merchants operating in Dublin at the turn of the 20th century, who would have left over wine casks that they would then bring to Jameson Bow Street Distillery and have filled with new make spirit. The casks were then left to mature for a number of years in their warehouses before being bottled. That's a real brief overview of Redbreast whiskey. Real brief. There literally is just something about Redbreast whiskey that the Irish love and adore. Fanboy. Like I said, I'm a huge fan myself of their single casks as well as some of their core range. You complete me. I love you. If any newbie or in fact veteran of whiskey that doesn't normally drink Irish asks for a recommendation of what Irish whiskey they should try, someone will generally always recommend one of the Redbreast core range whiskies. They're high quality, beautiful whiskies and adored by whiskey lovers worldwide. So why is this bottling so special then? A number of reasons why. And in true chaser style, I shall reveal those number of reasons now. Firstly, boom, it says 10-year-old right on the label. Right there. So what, right? Well, it's been roughly half a century, and that's roughly about 50 years, circa 1970s-ish. Since a 10-year-old Redbreast has been on the scene, this is basically a reimagining of a Gilbeys' historic expression. Secondly, this is a limited edition release that celebrates 30 years since the resurrection of Redbreast Irish whiskey and salutes the continuous revival of single pot still Irish whiskey on the world stage. I robbed that piece from the press release. Thirdly, and quite possibly most importantly for whiskey fans, this release includes a rare, more traditional style of single pot still distillate, which is usually reserved for older age statement whiskies in the Redbreast range. This pays tribute to the historic expression last produced in the 1970s. That's trad pot, baby. Also, there is a bigger contribution for the sherry butts, which again references a time in which Redbreast and other whiskey merchants in Ireland used a lot of fortified wine casks in whiskey bonding throughout the 1960s. It's a throwback of throwbacks. It's a serious tip of the hat to the days of past and traditions of old. I mean, even the labeling is absolutely shit cool. Look at that loveliness. It's retro and it's cool and awesome. And I personally love bottle designs that incorporate a classic look. Even it kind of resembles the old school bottlings from the 1970s, which you should see on screen now. I mean, just look at the awesomeness. I'm hyping up this bottle. I know, you don't have to tell me. I went full nerd. You don't ever go full nerd. Now, before I get into the drinking of the whiskey, I do want to chat a small bit about something I already mentioned, which is the inclusion of what Midleton call trad pot whiskey. Midleton Distillery produce a number of different pot still distillate types, which range from light pot, mod or medium pot, heavy pot, and of course, more of a specialty, trad pot. It's these different distillates that are what gives us the variation in brands that Midleton are able to produce. For example, we have Powers Whiskey, the Spot range of whiskeys, Redbreast, Midleton Very Rare, Jameson. And in order to understand this a little bit better, let's define one or two terms. Firstly, what is pot still Irish whiskey? Well, Irish pot still whiskey is completely unique to Ireland. The best way to describe it is that it's made from a mash of malted and unmalted barley distilled in a pot still with a small percentage of other grains being used at times. A pot still is a copper still that operates in batches. And this is triple distilled liquid. So that just means it's been distilled 3 times, basically, simply, without kind of getting into it too much. Actually, that's an incredibly simplified statement, but for the purpose of what we need in this video, I obviously cut it down a bit. And by a bit, I mean a lot. I could probably do a 2-hour video on triple distillation alone. Anyway, by changing the mash bill types and still settings and also changing when the cuts are taken off the stills, this is what allows Midleton to produce a vast range of distillate types. And the trad pot still distillate is a heavier and more traditional style of pot still that captures more of the latter part of the distillation run during the final run of triple distillation. Simples. So in a nutshell, this is something that is special and is to be enjoyed. And we're going to do just that. Now, before we get into the whiskey, give me a thumbs up if you like that bit of history. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit the little notifications bell thingy too, because these videos take a shit ton of time to produce and edit. And well, I think I deserve a little thumbs up. Maybe just 1 or 2, it's done. Radio Ray, onto the whiskey. Okay. So this release is made up of 3 different styles of distillates, including that famous trad pot that aged between 10 to 15 years of age, matured in both American oak ex-bourbon barrels and Oloroso sherry, seasoned butts sourced from Payas Labato cooperage in Jerez de la Frontera, Spain. Bottled at a cask strength of 59.1% and limited to a one-time run of 7,000 bottles, which have completely and totally sold out. Priced at €100 and sold out within 6 hours of it going on sale. I also heard a rumor that there were 4,000 of these bottles sold out within the first 15 minutes of the launch, which was on the 11th of March, exclusively via the Birdhouse, the Redbreast online membership platform. Link below. Did I mention this was limited edition? And that it celebrates 30 years since the resurrection of Redbreast Irish whiskey? It's a long history. Check out that video I told you about. So, let's get this cask strength beauty into the glass and we'll have a little nose and a little taste. Okay, it's in the glass. First off, this literally defines to me what tobacco and leather smell like in a whiskey. And that's a note that I've always kind of struggled with. But you have, of course, that leather and tobacco, woody notes that are very fresh and very vibrant type of woody notes. It's almost like a fresh cut wood, if that makes sense, on a saw or something that you walk through and somebody's building something and they're chopping wood and kind of get that fresh, kind of vibrant, woody note. Undeniably Redbreast, that nose with the spices and the dried stone fruits at the back. It's just that you'd know straight away, sherry, Redbreast. Of course, you have that little bit of cinnamon as well, and of course, some like kind of berry notes to it as well. Very fruityful, very vibrant, very fresh, very punchy. Let's have a little drink. Let's launch it. Wow. Very spicy, very oily, real kind of heavy and dense on the mouth. Fruits that would be typical to like your sherry, your figs and vanilla. A lot of woody tannins, spicy. It's very well balanced actually. It's quite sweet and juicy and oily. Very kind of heavy. I would say it's a very heavy, spicy, woody, delicious morselness. Still, that lovely sweetness on the finish. Still getting loads of spice that hangs around. The woodiness is still there. It tapers off quite nicely, leaving a little bit of a fig kind of flavor to it, a little bit of fruitiness to it. Everything works so well together. Really delicious, actually. Really, really well, full-bodied as well. Loveliness. Right, so I'm gonna add a little touch of water to this, and well, you know how I feel about that as a regular drinker, but for the purpose of this video, let's see what happens. Right, so I added a small touch of water, literally a drop, you saw it there. What kind of balances out now is that woody note is really coming through a little bit more, and it's kind of tapered it down a small bit, so it's not full-blown, full whack of fresh wood in your face. It's a little bit more of kind of a tapered wood smell now, and it is a little bit of the sweetness as well within it. You're still getting that spice at the back, but now it's not right in your face. It's kind of taken away that little bit of that Redbreast trademark nose, if it will, if you could call it that. Yeah, let's have a little drink, let's launch it. It's tapered it right out. You're getting that woody tannins, the spice, a little bit of the kind of fruity vibe to it, like what I said before, the fig. It's just kind of mellowed everything out a little bit. I don't think they're meant to add water to that. I actually think you get more from that if you were to drink it at cask strength and not add the water. Everybody is obviously different. If you get a chance to try it, of course, you know, throw a little bit of water down at the end of the glass. See, does your notes match up with mine? Possibly, maybe. But that is definitely something that I would think screams to me, do not add water. Just try it as it is and drink it like that. And don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't try and be fancy or anything about that. This is beautiful as a cask strength version. So in all reality, this is an absolute stunner, and one that should be really opened and enjoyed by all to see exactly what the team at Redbreast have come up with. It's punchy, flavorsome, well balanced, and it's what they do best, which is produce top quality whiskey. It's no wonder Redbreast are making so much noise lately in the whiskey world. They just do things right. And it's delicious. And it's the branding and the design and all that stuff is on point too. My hat's off to Master Blender Billy Lighton and of course Blender Dave McCabe for coming up with something that is truly wonderful. It's obvious I'm not a historian by any means, and there are people out there in the whiskey world that absolutely idolize this brand and know the history far better than I can tell it. I just hope I did a little bit of justice here and gave you all a snippet into this particular whiskey. I will at some point into the future, of course, be doing a full video on the entire Redbreast core range, so keep an eye on the channel and also my Instagram, which I will link down in the description box. As always, many thanks to the lads here at Christy's here for the continued support of the channel, and of course, thanks to the good folks at Great Irish Beverages and Irish Distillers for a sample that they sent out to me to enjoy this before the actual release. It looks awesome. Now, I'm off to enjoy the rest of my St. Patrick's Day. I hope you all do too. Stay safe, and I will see you all next week. Sláinte.